Good afternoon to you. In the last class, when we discussed the Constitution, I told you I will take from current affairs certain items relating to Indian polity from the current affairs point of view. One such item which I want to take today is Central Vigilance Commission, CVC. Why I intend to take this? Recently it was in the news because Shri Sanjay Kothari, who was the Secretary to President, an IAS officer of 78 batch from Haryana cadre, who retired in June 2016, was selected and appointed as CVC. He was administered oath of office in the presence of the President recently. So, the CVC was in the news. Central Vigilance Commission, as you know, is an apex vigilance institution. What is apex vigilance institution? We say apex court, Supreme Court. Apex Premier Agency, CBI. Apex Premier Investigation Agency is CBI. Like this, apex vigilance institution is CVC. This was set up in February 1964. Second point from PT point of view. By an executive resolution, number 3. On the recommendation of the committee, number 4. What for that committee was instituted? On prevention of corruption, number 5. That committee was headed by K. Santanam. So, Santanam committee, the CVC was established as an apex vigilance organization in 1964, February 1964. It is not a constitutional body. It was not a statutory body. It was originally set up as an executive resolution on the recommendation of the committee on prevention of corruption, and the committee being headed by K. Santanam. So, at least 5 to 6 PT questions have come here. Originally, it was neither a constitutional body nor a statutory body. Remember, originally it was not a constitutional body nor it was a statutory body. An ordinance was issued in 1998 for bestowing the legal status on CVC. It was made a statutory body, and also the powers to review the progress of investigation relating to the offences under PCA, Prevention of Corruption Act 1988, conducted by CBI. Remember, CVC is a supervisory authority over CBI. Yes, that is true, but it is true partly. For all functions, it is not the superintendent. It is only the cases related to anti-corruption division, which are covered under PCA 1988. Only those cases and also the offences registered under CRPC and entrusted to CBI. Only where these two areas, the CVC is the supervisory authority over CBI. Rest of the functions of CBI are supervised by Department of Personnel and Training, that is Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievance and Pension. So, it is for certain portion it is under the government and certain portion it is under the CVC. Kindly remember, it is a very important point. And in addition to this, remember, in 2003, Central Vigilance Commission Act was passed and the commission became a plural body with the CVC 1 and the Vigilance Commissioners 2. Secondly, the CVC had acquired importance as a result of Supreme Court intervention in Mallika Narayanan versus Union of India case of 1997, which is popularly known as Jain Hawala case. Very important. In this case, Supreme Court, as you recall, Supreme Court adversely commented about the functioning of CBI and the frequent intervention of union executives, and used the unpopular, unsavory comment, CBI is a caged parrot. Quote, CBI is a caged parrot. This was the observation made by the Supreme Court over CBI. Now, in accordance with the parliamentary resolution on public interest disclosure on protection of informers passed in 2004, Government of India authorized CVC as a designated agency to receive written complaint for disclosure on any allegation of corruption or misuse of office. Another important allocation given by the Parliament to the CVC. First is Mallika Narayanan case, which compelled the government to give its legal status. Secondly, the disclosure, that is, if the CVC has been made is a designated agency to receive the written complaint for disclosure on any allegation of corruption or misuse of office. Second responsibility. This is again as a result of Supreme Court direction in the writ petition filed after the murder of very infamous murder of Satyendra Dubey, a whistleblower. You know the contract and whistleblower. He was murdered, and Supreme Court directed a machinery should be put in place on the complaints of whistleblowers. In pursuance of this direction, the above whistleblowers resolution was passed by Parliament. Under this resolution, the CVC has two responsibilities. Number one, to maintain the secrecy of identity of the whistleblower. Number two, to protect the whistleblower from the possible victimization. The Whistleblowers Protection Act 2014 replaced the aforesaid resolution. So, this is the third development. While enacting Lokpal and Lok Ayukta Act 2013, the CVC Act was also amended to give one more additional responsibility of conducting preliminary inquiry and further investigation into the complaints referred to by Lokpal in respect of Group B, Group C and Group D staff. This is the additional responsibility. Now you see, first is Mallika Narayanan case, gave statutory responsibility, statutory basis. Then came the whistleblower. Then Lok Ayukta, Lokpal, Lok Ayukta Act, under which a complaint can be referred by the Lokpal to the CVC for investigation. Three distinct responsibilities have been given by these are all recent developments. So, potential question for PT. Now, CVC is conceived to be an apex vigilance organization, number one, free of control from executive authority. Second point, you cannot call it autonomy. There is no autonomy. There is no autonomy in any of the organization. Where is the autonomy? Including, with due regards, including CAG or UPSC or what is known as all other UPSC or election commission. Everywhere you cannot say these are all autonomy. It's not an autonomy. So long you depend on the Consolidated Fund of India, so long the appointment is made by the executive, where is the autonomy? So these are all, but to some extent functional autonomy is rather depending upon the individual. Election Commission was nothing before TN session. Once TN session assumed charge, the Election Commission becomes very popular. So it depends upon the individual. Similarly, Supreme Court, J.S. Verma, even today you cannot forget J.S. Verma because of his contribution. Mr. Khanna and who was the president, MC Chagla. These are all legal luminaries. So, depending upon the individual, if you are an efficient person, you can make the even scavenging work brilliant. It is not the work which is important; the way in which that work is executed is important. So, there is no autonomous. These are all joke. Real autonomy, you can see incidentally, I am not going apart from the syllabus. Incidentally, we have to remember there are constitutional bodies which are included in the Constitution. For example, which are the constitutional bodies? UPSC, CAG, Election Commission. These are all constitutional bodies which have the provision. In addition to this, there are statutory bodies like this. Information Commission or what is known as CVC. These are all statutory body. What is the difference? What is the statutory body? Any body which is created by a law. So if you want to amend any provision, you have to go to the parliament for amendment. That is called statutory body. You have amended Information Commission, Right to Information Act. So you go to the parliament and amend it. And in respect of constitutional body, you have to go to the constitution and amend the constitution by adopting Article 368, the procedure laid down in Article 368. And in addition to this, there are executive bodies which are created by the ministries, government, by the government, that can be abolished or that can be created by the government. So these are the three bodies. In another body, you have a exclusive. You cannot have a island within island. You cannot have two masters. So if you cannot have a kingdom within the kingdom, you have to be depending upon the executive. To some extent, they take the autonomy from the executive. So it depends upon the individual. That is a different issue. Now, the CVC is supposed to be an apex vigilance organization, number one, free of control from executive authority, number two, monitoring all vigilance activities under the central government and advising various authorities in central organization in planning, executing, reviewing and reforming their vigilance work. This is the, in nutshell, this is the function of CVC. Now let us come back to what is the composition of CVC. CVC has one chief vigilance commissioner who is the chairman and two vigilance commissioners as members of the commission. So this is the composition. CVC and vigilance commissioners are appointed from among the persons who are all India service or civil service of the union who acquired experience and expertise in finance, public administration, insurance, banking, law, vigilance, investigation, etc. But the same category persons cannot be, you cannot take the same category person for all the three posts. That is, naturally, it cannot take. Secondly, CVC and VCs are appointed by President. Who appoints them? By President. On the recommendation of a committee, consisting of Prime Minister as the chairman and Minister for Home Affairs as the member and leader of opposition in Lok Sabha or leader of the main opposition party in Lok Sabha as member. So this is the committee. Again, it is not a deviation from the topic, just think over. When you select CAG, when you select the chairman and members of UPSC, when you select chairman and members of election commission, you do not have the selection committee. You do not have such a constitutional bodies. You don't have the election selection committee. Whereas for statutory positions, you have the selection committee. See, I am not saying it is wrong. I am saying for one set you have no selection committee at all. It is selected by the government. So UPSC chairman or election commission, chief election commissioner, they are all selected by the government. Whereas in the case of these, chief vigilance commissioner or what is known as chief information officer, central information commissioner, in these cases there is a plural body which selects and the formal appointment is made by the president. So you have to see what are all the selection body, what is the method of selection for these constitutional, statutory and executive authorities, what is the mode of selection, that you have to remember in each case for the examination point of view. Secondly, the tenure is 4 years or till they attain 65 years of age, whichever is earlier. They are ineligible for appointment, reappointment in the commission. However, the vigilance commissioners are eligible for appointment as CVC, and the CVC and VCs cannot be appointed after their retirement. After their retirement from commission in any diplomatic or any remunerative post under the union or under the state. Another point. Secondly, CVC or VCs take the oath or affirmation in the presence of, don't say president administers oath of office. No. In the presence of president or his nominee, they take oath and the format is given separately. This is the point from the PT point of view. All the point which I am mentioning is important from the examination point of view, not for any knowledge. Everybody is knowledgeable. We want to get through. Only from the examination point of view, I am choosing. Secondly, the CVs and VCs can resign their post by writing to President. Now, CVC and VCs, they can be removed by President of India in two methods. Remember, very important, you should understand. One is for proved misbehavior or incapacity. For in respect of proved misbehavior, the complaint, the allegation has to be sent to the Supreme Court for inquiry by a Supreme Court judge. On the basis of the report of inquiry and the findings of Supreme Court, the person, the charged CVC or VC can be removed from office. This is one method where you are giving an opportunity to the charged person for being heard in person. So, oral inquiry is allowed in the first case. Second case, in the second category of cases, President can straight away remove them without providing them any opportunity of explanation. What are those? Number one, insolvency. All adjudged as insolvent. Number two, insanity, adjudged. Number three, infirmity of body. Number four, convicted of any offence involving moral turpitude. Number five, engaged in paid employment outside the duties of office. Number six, acquired any financial or other interest which is likely to prejudice his official functions. In these six cases, no inquiry is needed. No inquiry is needed. The charged officer, the charged CVC or charged VC can be straight away removed without any inquiry. Remember, two differences you should understand. His salary is similar to chairman UPSC. Remember, his salary is similar to chairman UPSC with regard to CVC and similar to member UPSC with regard to VC. With regard to VC, the salary, allowances and other service conditions cannot be varied to their disadvantage during the term of their office. The expenses of the commission, salary, allowances, pension, etc. of the CVC and VCs are charged, quote, charged into the Consolidated Fund of India. Before dealing with the functions of CVC, you should remember following points. Number one, CVC is not an investigating agency. Instead, they have to depend on either CBI or any other agency for investigation. Second point is, this is the first point. Second point, CBI cannot entertain any complaint of any nature. If you send a complaint to the CBI, they will not entertain. They don't have any SHO separately. They are depending upon the local police. So you have to file a case in the local police station or you have to go to the CVC. That point you should remember. CBI cannot entertain any complaint of any nature. The CBI can take up the case of investigation on three methods. What are the three methods? On the direction of the central government, number one, and on the request of the state government received through central government. Now, Tamil Nadu government, in respect of a case, they have the state government as a suggested CBI inquiry. Now, they will send request the Home Ministry. Home Ministry will give the direction to CBI. This is second point. Third is under the orders of High Court or Supreme Court. Only these three methods, the CBI inquiry is possible. After investigation by CBI, prosecution sanction is to be issued by the CVC. Remember, the advice of CVC is only recommendatory in nature, and CVC has no manpower or financial resources other than what is provided by the government of India, neither any authority. CVC does not deal with the state government. Most important PT point, PT question. But CVC does not deal with the state governments. The powers and functions of CVC includes, number one, to exercise control over functioning of Delhi Special Police Establishment, which is part of CBI, only with regard to, underline, only with regard to the investigation of cases under Anti-Defection Division under Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 and certain offences under CRPC. These are most important points. Secondly, CVC can give direction to CBI only for the purpose of discharging their responsibility with reference to anti-corruption cases. Number 2. Number 3, CVC is to review the progress of investigation of Delhi Special Police Establishment into the offences covered under PCA 1988. Number 4, to inquire or causing an inquiry or investigation into any complaint concerning any offence under PCA against any official belonging to All India Service or Group A of Central Service or other specialized level of officers. CVC can give direction to CBI for carrying out the responsibilities entrusted to it under DSPE Act 1946. CVC is to chair the committee for selection of Director, Enforcement Directorate and officers of SP level in CBI. This is another job. In addition, the CVC is to tender advice to the central government with regard to the all disciplinary authorities in disciplinary cases involving vigilance angle. The Commission has the powers of civil court under Code of Civil Procedure 1908. Every proceedings of the CVC is treated as judicial proceedings for the purpose of Indian Penal Code. And CVC has jurisdiction, I have already told you, over all India officers and senior officers of public sector banks, public sector undertakings, RBI, General Insurance Company, LIC, NABARD, etc. The main point to be remembered for the purpose of investigation of offences under PCA 1988, CVC controls the CBI. CVC controls the CBI only in this point. CVC is authorized to receive written complaints for disclosure on any allegation or corruption or misuse of office, as I already told you, under Whistleblowers Resolution and Whistleblowers Act. CVC is not concerned with the state government. Most important, you should remember. CVC has brought out now, from the examination point of view, another point. CVC has brought out an Integrity Index Development, IID. This is in collaboration with Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. Similarly, UN Convention Against Corruption has been recently ratified by India in this. So in 2011, I think it is ratified in 2011. So these are all the points which you should remember from the examination point of view. Like this, we will take up one additional topics on general studies which are important, Indian polity, current affairs separately under each class. Thank you. Thank you.